All right, so today we're going to do things a little differently.
Oh,
Yeah, we're going deep, deep into the world of, well, you specifically, actually.
okay. I like where this is going.
Hotel and restaurant owners. This one's for you. We've got this incredible resource, Maurice.
Maurice.
Yeah, he's a hospitality pro, years and years in the business, and he really knows his stuff, especially when it comes to food and beverage. And we basically got our hands on, it's kind of like his playbook, years of observations, insights, all that good stuff.
So we're extracting the gems, the actionable strategies, basically giving you a leg up in this crazy competitive world.
Exactly. Running a restaurant or honestly, even the food and beverage side of a hotel, it's a beast. It's not for the faint of heart.
Definitely not. You're juggling so much recognition, keeping up with what people want, the economy throwing curveballs left and right.
Maurice gets it. And that's
Uh,
why I think this deep dive is going to be so valuable. All right, so let's kick things off with something Maurice really hammers home: the power of distinctions.
those awards, the stars, the accolades.
Yeah, and he's not wrong. Like a single star, it can catapult a place, bookings go through the roof, suddenly everyone's talking about you.
Right, but Maurice is also really clear about the flip side, the pressure,
Yeah.
the potential downfall. He actually shares this pretty harrowing story.
Oh, yeah, about the chef?
Right, who was so consumed with the thought of losing a Michelin star that it led to, well, a really dark place. It's a stark reminder that this industry, it can be incredibly demanding.
For sure. And I think for anyone listening, especially those of you gunning for those top distinctions, Maurice's advice is golden. Never compromise on quality, ever. Because it's one thing to get there, it's a whole other ballgame to stay there.
It's like you're not just aiming for a single performance. You got to deliver that same level night after night consistently.
And building on that, Maurice also highlights the importance of, well, not putting all your eggs in one basket. Awards are fantastic, but your marketing strategy can't solely rely on them.
It's like a safety net, right? What if tastes change? What if the criteria for these awards shift? You got to be prepared.
And here's a nugget of wisdom from Maurice that I think everyone needs to hear. Embrace criticism. It's going to come whether you like it or not.
Especially in this business, everyone's a critic.
But instead of letting it get you down, Maurice suggests looking at it as data, as a way to pinpoint what you can improve.
It's a growth mindset thing, isn't it? Taking something potentially negative and turning it into fuel.
Totally. Now, what about those times when, the recognition isn't immediate? Maurice actually has some pretty encouraging words on that front. He argues that not getting featured in those big guides right off the bat, it shouldn't be a setback. It's more like a chance to hone your craft.
Yeah, to refine your vision without the pressure of being in the immediate spotlight.
He even tells this really inspiring story about a restaurant. I won't name names, but they were totally overlooked by like a major guide. But instead of getting discouraged, they doubled down. They revamped their menu. They really focused on elevating their service.
And what happened?
Down the line, they got the recognition they deserved. It's proof that consistency and dedication, they pay off.
So what Maurice is saying here is that internal validation, it's just as important, if not more, than external validation.
Yeah, and that ties in perfectly with his advice on, keeping things fresh. Your menu, it shouldn't be stagnant. You got to be constantly experimenting, evolving, surprising your customers.
You got to keep people on their toes.
Exactly. Speaking of surprises, let's talk about economic downturns because, let's be real, they hit the restaurant industry hard.
Maurice doesn't sugarcoat it, but he does offer a really important perspective. It's about ingenuity, finding ways to adapt without sacrificing quality.
He gives this great example from like way back during the 2008 recession. Some restaurants, they introduced more affordable options, special menus, things like that. They didn't compromise on what they were serving. They just found a way to make it accessible.
Smart move. They stayed afloat and probably even gained some loyal customers in the process.
And Maurice has some really practical advice for navigating those tough times. 1, get serious about inventory management. Minimize waste. That's just good business sense anyway.
When it's good for the planet.
2, think about creative offers. Things like a really enticing lunch menu or maybe themed events that draw in a different crowd without, cheapening your brand.
About being strategic, right? Adapting to the circumstances without losing sight of who you are.
Right. Now let's flip the script and talk about standing out because in this industry, you got to be memorable.
And Maurice has a really fun take on this.
Hmm.
Events. Like, think outside the box, create something buzzworthy.
He talks about this restaurant that went all out with a horse racing theme. They had special cocktails, live music, the whole 9 yards. And it was a hit. Packed house, staff was super energized, everyone had a blast.
And that enthusiasm, it rubs off on the customers, makes the whole experience that much better.
And here's where Maurice's advice gets really actionable.
Hmm.
Team up with local businesses, a nearby farm, a winery, create something unique together, and get your staff involved in the planning. Let them take ownership. It'll make a world of difference.
And don't forget social media. These events, they're perfect for generating buzz online. A clever hashtag can go a long way.
Okay, let's talk reviews, because let's be honest, they can make or break a place. Maurice makes a great point. In this digital age, every customer is a potential reviewer.
Oh, totally. That little notification pops up, rate your experience. It's everywhere.
And while you can't control what people say, Maurice has this, he calls it an unstoppable technique. Basically, pretend every night is critic night.
Interesting. So it's not just about being ready for the big review. It's about embedding that level of excellence into your everyday routine.
Exactly. Some restaurants even have a designated critic table every night, just as a constant reminder, keep those standards high no matter who's sitting there.
Clever. And it makes sense, right? Train your staff to anticipate needs, to be super attentive, make sure every single detail is perfect. And that way, when a real critic walks in, you're already operating at 110%.
Now here's something Maurice is adamant about. Your team is everything. A happy team means a successful restaurant, period.
It's so true. The energy of the staff, it translates to the customer experience.
He mentions restaurants that go all out to celebrate milestones with their staff, parties, music, the works. It builds camaraderie, creates this sense of, like, we're all in this together.
Yeah, celebrating wins together, it creates a bond. And when employees feel valued, they're more likely to go the extra mile.
And Maurice has some really simple but effective tips for owners. Celebrate those wins, big and small. Involve your team in key decisions, show them their opinions matter, and just a genuine thank you, it can go a long way.
Sometimes it's the small gestures that make the biggest impact.
Now, last but not least, Maurice emphasizes the importance of empathy, especially when things get tough. He's a big believer in open communication, being human.
Especially in a high-stress environment like a restaurant. People need to know they're supported.
He tells this story about a manager who, during a really challenging time, didn't try to hide it. They were open with the staff about the difficulties. And guess what? It actually brought the team closer together.
Vulnerability can be really powerful. It creates trust. It fosters a sense of unity.
So, practical advice from Maurice. Regular team meetings. Talk openly about successes and challenges. Encourage feedback. Listen to your staff. And sometimes just a kind word, a hand on the shoulder, it can make all the difference.
It's about recognizing that everyone is human. We all go through ups and downs. And a little bit of empathy can go a long way.
All right, so wrapping up our deep dive into Maurice's wisdom, the message is clear. Success in this business, it's not just about the food, it's about the people. Strong leadership, a resilient mindset, the willingness to learn and adapt, and never underestimating the power of a happy team.
Maurice's insights, they highlight how crucial it is to build a strong foundation, both internally with your team and externally with your customers. And remember, those distinctions, they're great, but they're not the be-all and end-all. It's the day-to-day dedication that makes the difference.
So as you go about your day, think about this. What's one small change you can implement to foster a stronger team spirit, to really connect with your customers? Because at the end of the day, it's those little things, those human touches that turn a good restaurant into a great one.
That's where the magic happens.
Until next time.
See you then.